US President Donald Trump softened his stance on China on October 12 after threatening the country of additional 100% tariffs. So what happened, and is Donald Trump now serious about these tariffs? Let's take a look at the current situation. On October 12, Trump told the media that Xi Jinping was highly respected and insisted that US wants to help China and not hurt it. He also released a statement on Truth Social regarding the same. He said that Xi Jinping had a bad moment and that everything will be fine between the US and China. Now, this is a sudden change that came after the president had earlier accused China of taking a sinister and hostile step towards the country by imposing sweeping export controls on rare earth elements. He warned that China was attempting to hold the world captive and hinted at a massive increase of tariffs on Chinese goods, an additional 100% tariffs. Then, in retaliation, China's Commerce Ministry responded to the threat, urging Washington to promptly correct its wrong practices and engage in equal-footed consultation. The statement said, and I quote from it, "We do not want a tariff war, but we are not afraid of one." The ministry warned that if the US insists on going the wrong way, China would take resolute measures to protect its legitimate interests. On the export controls, it said that it was not an export ban, emphasizing that the licenses would be issued for civilian and humanitarian uses. Now, the center of all of this fuss is rare earth elements. So what are they? They are one of the most critical elements for making everything from smartphones to fighter jets. China accounts for nearly 70% of the global rare earth mining and about 90% of the processing, giving it a dominant position in the global supply chains. The minerals are vital for manufacturing jet engines, smartphones, radar systems, and EVs too. China has restricted exports of these elements and associated technologies, citing national security and concerns over foreign military applications. Now, this was not China alone restricting exports. US too had introduced a slew of its own export controls targeting China in late September, despite the trade talks going on earlier this year. So this move was a retaliation from China. Meanwhile, the exports from China to the US are already falling. In September, China's export to the US had plunged 27%, even though China's global exports hit a 6-month high. For the last 6 months, China's exports have been falling to the US. Now, what are the broader implications of this trade war? Well, starting with the markets, major Asian stock markets sank on October 13 as the fear of a renewed trade war mounted. China's new restrictions won't take effect until November 1st, but could be a huge blow for East Asian economies like Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan, which play a critical role in global tech and AI supply and also in automobiles. Chinese markets also plunged. The Hang Seng Index sank 2.4% and Shanghai Composite fell 1.6%. On Friday, US stocks also sank, with S&P 500 and Nasdaq witnessing the worst day since April, and Dow too suffered the steepest drop since May. Now let's talk about the impact on India. As per a GTRI report, India should now be very careful in its negotiations with the United States and should focus on self-reliance other than depending on the US. In this report, the think tank said that India should advance negotiations with Washington on equal terms, warning that no deal with the US is ever final. Now, impact on the world. Well, prices of electric vehicles, wind turbines, and semiconductor parts is expected to surge as China and the US are now back in a new series of trade war, as per the GTRI report. It further says that if US seeks support from allies, prices could surge further as they cannot match China's dominance as yet. Meanwhile, China is expected to redirect supplies to non-Western partners to strengthen alternative industrial networks and trade more with the BRICS countries. US is heavily reliant on Beijing for electronics, textile, footwear, white goods, and solar panels, where China might hit back and the prices will surge given the 130% will be the ultimate tariff on Chinese goods starting November 1st if the tariffs take effect, making goods expensive for the customers, which further will contribute to the rising inflation in the US and the cost of production. While Washington may face the heat, Beijing seems better prepared as it is slowly reducing reliance on US for exports. Maybe that's why Trump softened his stance on China all of a sudden. But it's Donald Trump, and with him, everything is uncertain. He could hit hard one day and chicken out on the other. We don't know. But what do you think about this? Let us know in the comments, and like, share and subscribe to ET Now for more such news and views.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.